My sister risked her life to save 2 spirit eggs in the apocalypse. She immediately took the pretty fire phoenix egg for herself and left me with only an ugly ice snake. But no one expected a heat apocalypse to hit later. Thanks to the ice snake's protection, I survived the extreme high temperature of the apocalypse safe and sound. But the fire phoenix couldn't handle its own evil fire and burned my sister to death alive. Before she died, my sister instigated my ice snake husband into strangling me to death. Who would have thought? We were reborn on the day the 2 spirit eggs hatched. This time, my sister immediately grabbed the ice snake. She thought if she had the ice snake, she could get through the heat comfortably. Little did she know, though. To keep its powers working, the ice snake needs to drink blood every single day. I opened my eyes. There was no suffocating heat wave around me at all. In my past life, all my blood was drained, and the pain of being strangled to death is still fresh in my memory. I glanced at the ice snake next to me and shivered. According to the tradition of the Beast Clan, they have to marry their saviors. I was supposed to marry the fire phoenix, but my sister hated how scary the ice snake looked. So she stole the fire phoenix I saved. But no one expected that a month later, global temperatures started skyrocketing, and the heat apocalypse arrived. The ice snake, as the name suggests, has the power to cool down temperatures. It can drastically lower the temperature within a 3-meter radius around it. The fire phoenix is the exact opposite of the ice snake. My sister stole my fire phoenix, but ended up dying of heat in the apocalypse. I, on the other hand, thanks to the ice snake's power, wasn't affected by the heat apocalypse at all. She thought I stole her Beast Clan husband. Right before she died of heat, she told the ice snake to kill me. I was just about to say the fire phoenix was mine. When my sister cut me off, I hatched the ice snake. I want the ice snake. You can have the fire phoenix. Looking at my sister eagerly holding the ice snake's arm, I immediately realized my sister was reborn too. I smiled slightly. I was just worrying about how to take the fire phoenix from her. My sister only knows that the ice snake has temperature cooling powers, but she has no idea. Its powers rely on drinking human blood every day to work. Not just that. The ice snake's fangs carry deadly poison. Every time it drinks blood, it's nothing short of torture. The toxin enters your bloodstream and makes you wish you were dead. In my past life, when my sister instigated the ice snake, I was already half dead from all the blood it had sucked from me. In a way, I should actually thank my sister for giving me a quick death. So this time, it's my sister's turn to get a good taste of what it's like to get bitten and drained by snake fangs every day. Last time, the ice snake was super unwilling when I took it away. It only agreed to be my husband because it had to follow the Beast Clan rules. But this time, when the ice snake heard my sister wanted it, before I could even answer, it immediately ran to my sister's side and flicked its tongue out with a hiss. When it saw me looking at it, the ice snake spoke in a disgusted tone. Liu Renren, since Ruyan said she's taking me home, I belong to her now. Don't you dare pester me. I narrowed my eyes slightly. Looks like it's not just my sister and I who were reborn. After hearing what the ice snake said, my sister looked at me proudly and said, "How's that? Liu Renren, this is the ice snake's choice. You take that lousy phoenix home with you." "Sure thing, sis. Since you like it as your little sister, how could I possibly refuse to give it to you?" When Liu Ruyan walked past me, she glanced at me arrogantly out of the corner of her eye and whispered in my ear, "Liu Renren, you probably don't know this yet. The heat apocalypse is coming soon. If you kneel at my feet and beg me, I might consider letting you borrow the ice snake for a few days." I laughed inwardly. She probably has no idea why the ice snake picked her, right? I looked at the fire phoenix huddled up next to me. The poor fire phoenix had no idea why. It had been trembling nonstop ever since it hatched. It only calmed down a little after hearing my sister say she wanted the ice snake. I didn't bother wasting words with the ice snake and Liu Ruyan, and took the fire phoenix's hand and walked out the door. "Sis Ranran, do you really want me?" I reached out my hand, trying to pat the fire phoenix's head. But the fire phoenix flinched back subconsciously. It looked at me with a terrified expression. "Sis Ranran, I didn't do it on purpose. Don't hit me, okay?" As the fire phoenix spoke, it tried its hardest to stop its body from trembling, and held its head out to me. "Fire phoenix, what's wrong with you? Why would I hit you?" I immediately realized, turns out the fire phoenix was reborn too. Fire phoenix, was it my sister? Don't mention her. Wolfang seemed upset by what I said, curled up tightly in pain. Tears of blood trickled from her eyes. Seeing Huofeng like this, I realized right away, my sister must have abused Huofeng. I pulled Huofeng into my arms and patted her wings gently. It's all right, Huofeng, under my comfort. She gradually calmed down. Huofeng, let's go home. But my place is pretty far away. And there's no car around here. I'm afraid you'll have to walk a bit with me. I looked at Huofeng guiltily. When it comes to financial status, I'm way worse off than my sister. My sister forced our parents to give her all their savings, to buy her a house and a car, while I can only rent an apartment. Huofeng blinked her eyes and spoke timidly. Sister Ranran, if you don't dislike me, I can take you home. Huofeng bent down and gestured for me to climb on her back. I felt a little embarrassed. It's okay, Sister Ranran. Get on, I'll fly us back together. I couldn't turn down Huofeng's kind offer, so I had to climb onto her back. Huofeng, I'll tell you where to fly. No need, Sister Ranran. I know where your home is. I was a little confused, and just about to ask Huofeng how she knew, when I heard Huofeng say, Sister Ranran, we're home. We're already home? I was shocked by Huofeng's flying speed. It's even faster than a plane. Planes are nothing. I'm from the Phoenix clan. Huofeng lifted her face a little proudly. This was the first time I looked at Huofeng carefully. Huofeng looked innocent and naive, with the naive look of a teenager on her face. Unlike Ice Snake, whose dark eyes were full of malice. Sister Ranran, won't you praise me a little? Huofeng stared at me with both eyes, seeming to have a faint hint of expectation. I sighed a little. Huofeng, you're such a good kid. How could she have the heart to treat you like that? Right after I said that, I realized I said the wrong thing. Sure enough, when I looked at Huofeng again, her originally sparkling eyes dimmed. I apologized in a panic. I'm sorry, Afeng. I didn't mean to bring that up. Huofeng let out a self-deprecating laugh. Afeng? That name sounds really nice. Sister Ranran, do you think I'm a very useless phoenix? Before I could answer, she continued speaking. Sister Ranran, Sister Ruyan said I'm useless. I only make her feel hotter and hotter. Unlike Ice Snake, she said I'm the one who ruined everything for her. She plucked my feathers out one by one and pricked me with needles, broke my beak with pliers, and finally broke my wings. Threw me outside to fend for myself. Am I really that much worse than Ice Snake? Sister Ranran, why did you bring me back? I'm a useless phoenix. I had already guessed that Liu Ruyan abused Huofeng, but I never thought she could be that vicious. She was the one who chose Huofeng back then. No one expected the extreme heat apocalypse to happen. Why would she blame all the mistakes on Huofeng? That's not true, Afeng. Listen to me. It's not what she said. You're great, you're way better than Ice Snake. Sister Ranran, I know you're comforting me. But it's okay. I feel much better now. Huofeng didn't want me to worry, so she forced a smile. Afeng, I'm not comforting you. You're really 10,000 times better than Ice Snake. Let me tell you a secret. Actually, I'm reborn too. Huofeng's eyes lit up all of a sudden. I told Huofeng all about how Ice Snake abused me in my past life, drawing my blood every single day, and eventually killing me, in full detail. After hearing what I said, Huofeng seemed very surprised. How could that be, Sister Ranran? According to our Beast Clan traditions, we must be absolutely loyal to our benefactors, no matter how our benefactors treat us. We have to endure it. If we violate this ancient rule, we will be punished very severely. How dare he treat you like that? I shook my head with a bitter smile. I don't know either. Huofeng, what's the punishment you mentioned? I don't know the details either. I only know it's a really, really severe punishment. Forget it, let's not think about that. I pulled Huofeng to sit on the sofa. The heat apocalypse is coming soon. Shouldn't we prepare something for it? Huofeng and I thought it over. Buying air conditioners is totally useless. When the extreme heat hits, the power and water systems will have already collapsed. Finally, I decided to go to our family's rural yard to dig a super deep cellar. Cellars are warm in winter and cool in summer. Best of all, they can cool down without any equipment. It's literally the perfect option for us. Huofeng isn't just super fast. She's also really strong. In less than a week, we dug out a cellar over 100 meters deep. Also, while we were digging the cellar, we hit underground water too. Now we fixed both the temperature and water issues. I hopped on Huofeng's back and went down to the very bottom of the cellar. The second I got down there, I was surrounded by a rush of cold air. It was a total contrast to the scorching heat above ground. Hofeng saw me shivering from the cold and immediately activated her power to raise the surrounding temperature to a comfortable level. Ah Feng, we've sorted out temperature and water now. What about food? How are we going to handle food? That's easy peasy. I'll dig an even bigger cellar next to this one. We can plant seeds underground. We've got sunlight and underground water. Once the heat apocalypse hits, the temperature there will be perfect for plants to grow. We just need to stock up on a month's worth of food beforehand and wait for the seeds to grow. Hofeng and I split up the work and managed to get everything ready before the heat apocalypse arrived. Tomorrow is the day the heat apocalypse comes. I hugged Hofeng and lay on the cellar's big bed, waiting for the heat apocalypse to arrive. I woke up early the next day and could clearly feel the temperature in the cellar was a lot warmer. It had gone from damp cold to a nice comfortable temperature. Hofeng was lying on the bed, stretching. Finally, I don't have to use my powers anymore. Using my powers every day these days has worn me out completely. My phoenix blood is almost all used up. Ah Feng, you mean using your powers consumes your blood? Yep, it's like how you guys use mana when you play games, right? We use blood when we activate our powers. I looked at Hofeng, heart aching and full of guilt. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I would have been fine freezing for a few days. After living with me for a month, Hofeng was no longer as shy and timid as she was at first. She reached right out and pinched my cheek. I knew if I told you, you'd definitely feel bad about it. Looking at Hofeng in front of me, my heart was suddenly filled with mixed emotions. Why is it that orcs are so different from each other? In my past life, I never complained about the heat to Ice Snake. Ice Snake was the one who couldn't stand the heat and insisted on using his powers, but he used my blood to power his abilities. Thinking of that, I sighed softly. Wonder how my sister is doing over there? According to the timeline of my past life, today is the first day my sister gets her blood sucked. It's such a shame I can't see her suffering. Hofeng seemed to see right through what I was thinking. Sis, let me show you something fun. As Hofeng spoke, she mysteriously handed me a bronze mirror. What's this? A mirror? I turned the bronze mirror over and over to look at it. I couldn't tell what was so special about it at all. Hofeng breathed fire onto the bronze mirror, and it instantly became clear. Liu Ruyan and Ice Snake's faces appeared on it out of nowhere. Seeing I was still confused, Hofeng explained, "This is a treasure of our Phoenix clan. Basically, it's similar to that thing you humans call a surveillance camera, but it doesn't need internet, and it doesn't need electricity either." I nodded, staring at the image on the bronze mirror. Liu Ruyan was leaning against Ice Snake, completely covered in sweat. She kept yelling, "It's so hot, I'm dying." Ice Snake, don't you have a cooling power? Hurry up and use it! Ice Snake pressed his lips together. My heart dropped. That's the sign he's getting impatient. And the precursor to him sucking someone's blood, Ice Snake curled into a creepy smile, his gloomy eyes fixed on Liu Ruyan. Ruyan, you're the one who told me to use my power, okay? Don't regret it later. Hurry up, I'm gonna die of heat. Before Liu Ruyan could finish talking, Ice Snake's fangs sank right into Liu Ruyan's arm. Liu Ruyan screamed in pain. Her whole body felt stiff. She couldn't move at all. I knew the snake venom had paralyzed her motor nerves. But the cost of paralyzing motor nerves is that the pain nerves become 10,000 times more sensitive. That means the pain she feels is 10,000 times worse than a regular snake bite. Liu Ruyan's face twisted in agony. Screams echoed through the entire cellar. It made my eardrums sting like crazy. I quickly closed the bronze mirror. When I turned around, I saw Fire Phoenix had a really complicated look on his face. Why are you looking at me like that? Ah Feng? Fire Phoenix pulled me into a hug immediately and shielded me under his wings. Ran, were you treated like this in your past life? Oh, so he was feeling bad for me. For some reason, my nose tingled like I was about to cry. In my past life, my parents favored my older sister. They always made me give in to her about everything. They never asked if I was upset or wronged. Today feels like the first time someone actually cares about me. When Fire Phoenix saw me crying, he panicked really bad. I'm so sorry, Ren. It's all my fault. I didn't know before. You suffered so much while you were with Ice Snake. I thought he treated you well. And he had the ice ability to cool down the temperature, so you could live a comfortable life. That's why I didn't take you back. It's all my fault. If I had known this would happen, even if I had to risk my life, I would have saved you and brought you back. I was a little confused. I had no idea why Fire Phoenix said that. Cuddled in Fire Phoenix's arms, I felt a little more at ease. Then I opened the bronze mirror again to see how they were doing right now. The earlier wailing sounds were completely gone. My older sister Liu Ruyan was lying weakly on the sofa, shaking all over her body. Ice Snake's forked tongue was flicking across Liu Ruyan's face. He spoke slowly. She's really a catch. Way better than her little sister. Ice Snake glanced at Liu Ruyan, who was shaking and crying on the sofa. Why are you crying? This is the high-temperature apocalypse. If it weren't for me, do you think you could live this comfortably? Your little sister Liu Ranran is gone. I'd probably die of heat right now. I rolled my eyes. I'm doing super well right now, actually. Liu Ruyan seemed to think of something suddenly. She said to Ice Snake, how about I lure that bitch Liu Ranran over here? You can suck her blood, what do you think? Before Ice Snake could even reply, Liu Ruyan shook her head again. No way, then she'd get to benefit from you too. I want to watch her die of heat. Kneel at my feet and beg me to save her. I tugged at the corner of my mouth helplessly. Sometimes, I really have no idea how I offended this sister of mine. Even if she has to suffer herself, she can't stand to see me doing even a little well. But I gotta say, Ice Snake and Liu Ruyan are actually perfect for each other. Both of them are equally rotten to the core. Liu Ruyan heard what Ice Snake said and got all hyped up like she was pumped full of energy. She wiped her tears and forced her weak body to sit up with great effort. She said to Ice Snake, give me the phone. I'm gonna call that bitch Liu Ranran. I want to watch her die of heat. Ice Snake smiled coldly. That's more like it. I didn't pick the wrong person. You're way more sensible than Liu Ranran, just as I thought. Liu Ruyan took the phone and called me right away. I answered the call without hesitation. I wanted to see what trick Liu Ruyan was going to pull this time. Was she going to show off to me? She's loved showing off ever since we were kids. Whenever she had something I didn't, she would keep talking about it nonstop all the time. All the stuff she showed off to me, I never cared about any of it at all. And I couldn't even be bothered to pay attention to her. But the more I ignored her, the more she thought I was jealous of her. Little sister, this is the high-temperature apocalypse right now. Aren't you just about to die of heat? If you kneel on the ground and beg me, I might consider letting you come stay at my place for a few days. I sneered twice into the phone. Liu Ruyan thought I'd cry my eyes out and beg her, but she didn't expect me to have no reaction at all. Liu Ruyan continued, little sister, aren't you just dying of jealousy right now? I hate it the most how you always act all calm and holier than thou. Even if you kneel and beg me now, I won't let you come over anymore. Of course, since we're sisters after all. I, your older sister, don't have the heart to be too ruthless. If you go tow 2 hard thumps for me, I might think about it. No need, sister. I'm doing perfectly fine right now. As for you, sister, how does it feel to have Ice Snake suck your blood? When Liu Ruyan heard what I said, she went silent for 2 seconds. Then she let out 2 laughs. Liu Ranran, are you so jealous of me that you've gone crazy? You can even make up such a ridiculous lie? Sis, you don't think you're the only one who got reborn, do you? Oh, right, sis. Fire Phoenix is really good to me. I should really thank you for giving Fire Phoenix to me. I hung up the phone right after I said that. Through the bronze mirror, I saw Liu Ruyan slam the phone immediately and start losing her mind. Ice Snake saw how Liu Ruyan was behaving and frowned even more deeply. What the hell are you freaking out for? Ice Snake, Liu Ranran. She is reborn too. She knows everything you did to me. Ice Snake curled his lips, so she knows. What about it? Then what superiority do I have in front of her? She's probably laughing her ass off at me behind my back. I can keep you cool. What about him? That useless Fire Phoenix is good for nothing. When Liu Ruyan heard Ice Snake's words, she felt relieved all of a sudden. Ice Snake, you're so right. Liu Ranran must be jealous that I have you. She's definitely dying from the heat right now. Let's see how long she can act tough. Liu Ruyan's words almost made me burst out laughing. Ice Snake seemed quite satisfied with Liu Ruyan's reaction. That's my girl, you're thinking the right way. You need to eat more food, so you'll have enough blood for me to suck. This little pain is nothing right now. Think about it, in 1 week at most, Liu Ranran will be so tortured by the heat that she'll beg you, Liu Ruyan. That idiot was totally brainwashed by Ice Snake and actually believed what he said, nodding her head repeatedly. Liu Ruyan had no idea. Ice Snake didn't just want her blood. What he really wanted was her soul. Actually, in my past life, The reason Liu Ruyan could easily manipulate Ice Snake to kill me was that I refused to listen to Ice Snake and trick Liu Ruyan into coming to him. Ice Snake had drunk enough blood. He only needed one more soul. But he needed the soul of an ordinary person like her. Only this kind of soul can make Ice Snake maintain his power permanently. My soul didn't meet his requirements. The purple Ice Snake told me to trick Liu Ruyan over. I knew if I tricked Liu Ruyan into coming, she would suffer so much pain. So I didn't agree. But Liu Ruyan thought I was being selfish and didn't want her to live a good life. Back then, I always thought she was my older sister and would care about our sisterly bond. It wasn't until I died that I realized how cold-hearted Liu Ruyan really was. I won't say anything extra this lifetime. She can do whatever she wants. Fire Phoenix and I lived a carefree life for a while. Liu Ruyan called me several times during that period, bragging about how great her life was. At first, I was patient enough to listen to her brag. But later, I got really fed up. I directly showed Liu Ruyan the place where I lived, and her face darkened immediately. Since then, she never contacted me again. The world finally went quiet. I don't have to listen to Liu Ruyan's annoying nonsense ever again. But neither Fire Phoenix nor I expected that a crisis was approaching little by little. One day, Fire Phoenix and I were sleeping, and suddenly woke up from rain falling on us. I looked up. For some reason, the always hot and dry sky had started to rain. Luckily, even though the rain was warm, it wasn't scorching hot. It was only around 20 degrees Celsius. At first, Fire Phoenix and I didn't pay it any mind, but the rain kept falling for several days, with no sign of stopping at all. The rainwater in the cellar kept rising. It was almost up to Fire Phoenix and my ankles. Fire Phoenix told me to stay put in the cellar, and he would fly up to check the situation. After a long time, Fire Phoenix finally came back down. He looked pretty panicked and told me there was a lot of water outside. Even though our cellar has a cover on top, the accumulated water outside was way too much. At this rate, I'm afraid in just a few days, our cellar will be completely flooded. I thought for a second and finally realized why it's been so hot lately. The Antarctic glaciers have probably all melted. There's so much water there, and it's so hot now. No wonder it keeps raining. I'm afraid if this keeps going, a flood will break out. When that happens, Fire Phoenix and I in this cellar will probably drown alive. I told Fire Phoenix what I thought. Fire Phoenix thought my guess made total sense. I said, Feng, we have to move to the ground as soon as possible. Fire Phoenix bit his lip. I know that too. We can't keep living in the cellar. But it's so hot outside. If we really move to the ground, we'll die from the heat. As Fire Phoenix said this, he lowered his head. I'm sorry, Ran. Ran, it's all my fault. I'm just not capable enough. That's why you're suffering along with me. If you had chosen Ice Snake back then, I reached out and covered Fire Phoenix's mouth. Feng, don't say that. If I had chosen Ice Snake, even if I didn't die from the heat, I'd have died from heartache anyway. I thought for a second, Fire Phoenix and I can't just wait around to die. Suddenly, an idea popped into my head. Feng, I've got a great idea. Fire Phoenix grabbed my hand excitedly. Spit it out, Ran. Feng, you can fly, right? You can carry me. We can just fly to the top of Mount Everest. It's super high altitude there. It's definitely cool. Plus, we don't have to worry about drowning in future floods. Even if the global sea level rises 1,000 meters, it'll never reach that high. After hearing what I said, Fire Phoenix nodded repeatedly. Ran, you're so clever. Let's go right now. But then I suddenly thought of something bad and shook my head. What's wrong? Fire Phoenix rubbed my head. But it'll take forever to fly there. What if we die from the heat halfway? Forget it. I'll just give Liu Ruyan a call. Maybe we can work with her. Before Fire Phoenix could say anything, I picked up my phone and called Liu Ruyan. What, can't stand the heat anymore? Came to beg me. Liu Ruyan's voice over the phone was full of mockery. Global temperatures are rising. I bet the Antarctic glaciers are all melting. You saw how heavy the rain has been lately, right? Liu Ruyan replied casually like she didn't care. What's that got to do with me? At the current rainfall rate, floods will probably break out in a few days. The global sea level will also rise. Even if you and Ice Snake don't die from the heat by then, you'll drown anyway. Why don't you team up with me? I can have Fire Phoenix take you guys to the top of Mount Everest. It's totally safe there. Liu Ran, you bitch. Why is your mouth so foul? I bet you can't stand the heat. So you're here lying to me. Let me tell you something. My apartment is on the 22nd floor. You'll drown before I ever do. Haha, I get it now. You definitely can't stand the heat. And you don't want to kneel to me, so you're here to scare me, right? Suit yourself if you don't believe me. I originally thought we could cooperate for mutual benefit. If that's what you think of me, there's no point in talking anymore. Hahaha, Liu Raoran, if you really can't stand the heat, just kneel and kowtow to beg me. I want to see if that stuck-up bone of yours can actually bend. I didn't want to hear any more from Liu Ruyan, so I hung up immediately. Fire Phoenix saw I looked upset and came closer to me. Ran, what's wrong? Why did you call her? I was trying to cooperate with her, wasn't I? I sighed dejectedly. When Fire Phoenix heard I wanted to cooperate with Liu Ruyan, she got anxious right away. Why would you cooperate with her? She's such a terrible person. Not to mention she abused me. If it weren't for her in the past life, I would never have been separated from you. I looked at Fire Phoenix's puffy, angry face and couldn't help laughing. When Fire Phoenix saw me laughing, she seemed even angrier. You're not allowed to contact her ever again. You were the one who hatched me in the past life, but she stole me away. I thought she was you for so long. All the kindness I showed her was totally wasted. How did you know I was the one who hatched you? You sang to me while you were hatching me, even if your singing was really bad. Later, when I heard Liu Ruyan sing so nicely, I knew she wasn't my savior at all. I was gonna sneak to find you and swap back with Ice Snake. But then the high-temperature apocalypse hit. I saw she had the ice power to cool things down, so I thought you'd be happy with her. I had no idea they'd treat you that badly. When I heard Fire Phoenix could hear me singing, even when she was still in the egg, I felt a little awkward. Then I thought about how Fire Phoenix and I would either drown or die from the heat, and I sighed again. Who would have thought even after being reborn, we still can't escape the fate from our past life? Fire Phoenix looked at me confusedly. Ran, what are you talking about? I'll just take you to the top of Mount Komalangma, simple as that. But it's such a long trip. We probably won't even make it there. We'll die of heat first. I was gonna ask Ice Snake to cool us down. Hey, Afeng, how about this? If that doesn't work, I'll go beg Liu Ruyan. It's no big deal if I die of heat. I've already died once anyway. But I can't stand to see you die. Fire Phoenix stared at me for 2 seconds, then burst out laughing. I was wondering what you were worried about. It's just such a trivial thing. But to be honest, you're willing to beg that mean woman for me. I'm actually pretty touched. This is so not the time to be joking with me. Fire Phoenix transformed from human form into a phoenix. Come on, climb on. I had no idea what was going on, but I still did what Fire Phoenix said. I obediently climbed onto her back. Hold on tight, we're taking off. Ah Feng, we're gonna die of heat. Before I could finish talking, my head started spinning and the world felt tilted. I felt so sick I wanted to throw up. It must be the heat. I must have heat stroke. I'm probably gonna die any second now. I closed my eyes waiting for death to come. But then I heard Fire Phoenix's voice in my ear. Ran, why are your eyes closed? Open them! I slowly opened my eyes, only to find the world in front of me was totally different. Afeng, where are we? This is the top of Mount Komalangma. What, we got here that fast? Duh, Ran. Don't underestimate the flight ability of the Phoenix clan. So that means we're saved? Wow, it's so cool here. We don't have to stay in the cellar anymore. I was so happy I threw myself at Fire Phoenix. I almost knocked her off balance. Before I could steady myself, my stomach started hurting. I threw up immediately. Fire Phoenix worriedly handed me some water. Ran, you never told me you get airsick from flying. I would have gone slower if I knew. I felt so silly. Turns out my nausea wasn't from heat stroke. It was motion sickness from flying. Hey, Afeng, since you have this ability and speed, in your past life, why didn't you bring Liu Ruyan to Mount Komalangma? It didn't cross my mind. Besides, Liu Ruyan never asked. You're way smarter, Ran. I was just feeling all proud of myself for being so clever. When my phone rang, I checked it was Liu Ruyan calling. I thought for a second, then decided to pick up. Liu Ran, didn't you say you wanted to cooperate with me before? I thought it over. Fine, since you're my little sister. I'll reluctantly agree to work with you this one time. I'll even let you skip kowtowing to me. But you still have to get on your knees and beg me. After hearing what Liu Ruyan said, I burst out laughing. I quickly turned on the bronze mirror. I really want to see What's going on with Liu Ruyan right now? That she'd put her pride aside to beg me. On the other side of the bronze mirror, the flood was almost reaching the windowsill of Liu Ruyan's house. No wonder Liu Ruyan came to me. But she's the one begging me. How dare she still act so arrogant? Liu Ranran, why aren't you saying anything? Let me tell you something. I'm only considering working with you because you're my little sister. Don't be ungrateful, I said in a sarcastic tone. Oh wow, should I thank you for that then? Liu Ruyan didn't seem to catch the sarcasm in my voice. She just kept talking to herself. Of course you should. I'm your savior. Let me make this clear. You have to get on your knees and beg me. No thanks, you can give that favor to someone else. I hung up the phone with a loud click. Right after I hung up, Liu Ruyan called again. I wanted to ignore her, but I was really curious what other excuses she could come up with. I couldn't help tapping the screen and answered the call. Liu Ruyan put on a generous, unbothered act. Fine, Liu Ranran. Since you're my little sister, I'll cut you some slack this time. You don't have to kneel for me anymore. Where are you? Come find me right now. Bring Ice Snake and take us to Mount Komalangma. I don't need Ice Snake anymore, by the way. Go find someone else to work with. Liu Ruyan panicked when she heard what I said. Stop acting like you're better off than you are. You're so far away from Mount Komalangma, you'll probably die of heat before you even leave the province. Come find me an Ice Snake quick. I turned on the camera right away. Sis, look where I am right now. Liu Ruyan snorted coldly. Where else could you be? I'm on top of the Himalayas right now. Liu Ruyan looked totally stunned. No way that's possible. Without Ice Snake by your side, you would have died of heat halfway there. I smiled faintly. Don't you remember what I told you? Fire Phoenix flies as fast as a rocket. Speaking of that, I really should thank you, sis, for giving me such an awesome Fire Phoenix. I hung up the phone. I saw Sis fuming with anger through the bronze mirror. She was throwing stuff around the room in a rage. Ice Snake heard the noise and came out of the room. When Sis saw Ice Snake, she lunged right at him, hitting and kicking him nonstop. She even caught Ice Snake off guard and slapped him hard across the face. Fire Phoenix saw this scene and looked really upset. She used to treat you the same way, right? I stroked Fire Phoenix's head sympathetically. Fire Phoenix rested his head on my chest and told me she was even worse to me than that. She stuck me with needles and even tried to cut me with a knife. Before she could finish talking, Fire Phoenix started crying. I saw how sad Fire Phoenix was, so I hurried to turn off the bronze mirror, but Fire Phoenix stopped me. I want to watch, I want to see if Ice Snake will treat her as well as I did, and if he'll put up with her nonsense. I didn't expect Fire Phoenix to hold such a grudge. I always thought he was a naive kid, but that's actually a good thing. From what I know about Ice Snake, he's a really ruthless and cruel person. I never hurt him even once, yet he was still so vicious to me, and Sis actually hurt him. She definitely won't get away with it easily. Sure enough, in the mirror, Ice Snake's face was so dark with rage. He suddenly reached out and grabbed Liu Ruyan by the neck. Then he slapped Liu Ruyan more than a dozen times. The next second, he looked like he was about to tear her apart.